The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. Isaiah 11:6. That's what I think about when I hear Greta Thunberg bringing the motherfucking heat. Like, people are dying. Can't beat those Scandinavians for angst and ennui. Until Greta, my favorite young moral witness for the environment against the omnicide, was Severn Cullis Suzuki when she spoke at Rio 1992. 93? And she said, if you don't know what's broke, or if you don't know how to fix it, quit breaking it. And she's the daughter of famous Canadian geneticist David Suzuki, who in an interview talking about the Great Barrier Reef said, the reef is dead. The climate catastrophe itself is just one piece of a much larger ecological collapse, which itself is just one piece of a much larger confluence of environmental devastation, global economic meltdown, and geopolitical tension that has pushed the doomsday clock closer to midnight thermonuclear war than it has ever been before, even during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it is not an emotional overreaction. It is not shrill, gloomy, or pessimistic. Facing these challenges, people need to lead, follow, or get out of the way. Our present climate situation is not something we can safely ignore because it is cyclical, as some climate catastrophe deniers claim. The amount of carbon and methane in the atmosphere and its knock-on effects are impartial. They are just the wrath of the math, like that classic album by J. Rue the Damager. The hour is very late. There is almost no chance of avoiding an omnicidal global catastrophe on every level. But if there's even a 1% chance of saving the planet, society, and our plant, animal, and fungi friends, it is time for everyone to get in where they fit in. And especially for idealistic, diversely wise artist intellectuals to put down their drugs of choice, cease stupefaction, climb out of their sloughs of despond, let the miasma lift, and contribute to an understanding and manifesting a universal future of love, joy, curiosity, and mutual aid by returning to proper alignment with the source of all meaning, which is, as Coltrane tells us, a love supreme, a love supreme, a love supreme, a love supreme. Secure in the knowledge that whatever happens to us and our single spaceship, for good or ill, it is all right, because as another jazz titan told us, the Creator has a master plan. The Creator has a master plan. And then when the va'a, the canoe, is put back on the right course, there will be plenty of time to, as MC5 tells us, kick out the jams, motherfucker! Or go skanking with the upsetter. or to take lazy floats down mysterious rivers, perhaps through places you have been in past lives. For me, like the Sahel, a band of roughly 500 miles wide south of the Sahara, the Niger River meanders lazily through that region, a place to which this mortal coil has never been, and yet draws me magnetically like a lost home. In doing so, we reclaim the birthright of our natural ecstasy, our true home, whether it is a place you know, a place you still need to find, or the square foot beneath your feet. For me, it is a town in my homeland, the occupied kingdom of Hawaii, that shall remain nameless. All can find their own personal rainbow country. Like Brother Bob says, though the road is rocky, it sure feels good to me. And if I'm lucky, together we'll always be. I'm mobilizing every friendship I have now from all across the globe, treating them as friends, not merely receptacles for my emotionally distraught data dumps, drawing upon every emotional, intellectual, creative, and spiritual resource I have at my disposal, which are substantial and extremely multifaceted, and every supportive social service available, discovered and engaged with by myself, of my own initiative, at this present place where I lay my hat to get out of my long dark night of the soul, so vividly described by St. John of the Cross, and finally get back on the road to the highest plane of existence through the insight of what Thich Nhat Hanh, I can never get that name right, called into being. Even the ancestors are coming out to help me in a final effort to keep me alive, to thrive, not merely survive. I can feel their presence. They are there, especially some dear uncles. But I will go meet them soon if I miss this, my last and best chance. From around 2001 to 2007, when I could still freestyle pretty well, it was like turning a spigot on and off. When I was in the zone, it was like meditation. Even though, of course, I could never test the best. Like Black Thought, who broke the internet with a 10-minute freestyle a couple years ago. But like Chappelle's rapper character from the reality show on Chappelle, to spit hot fire, you have to have something to say, something in your brain. And for a long time, I was, like Johnny Rotten sang, pretty vacant. As the miasma of my long addiction finally lifts, hopefully this time for good, because I have used up 8 of my 9 lives, I'm finding that I can finally lay down some bars again, straight off the biscuit, blowing up the district, and get back to being a philosopher who wants to address what one of my favorite philosophers, Camus, identified as the human crisis. When I wrote the London chapter to a backpacker's guide to the UK 30 years ago, fresh out of UC Berkeley, and after bouncing around numerous hotels in one of the world's greatest cities, I finally found a cheap one I liked in Earl's Court and fell in with a fascinating clique of young travelers from all over Europe and the world, including a young Frenchman who said to me in a thick French accent, "You are a very dangerous man," because I knew all about The Society of the Spectacle by Guy Debord, even in those tender years of 20-ish, 21-ish, and the rest of situationism of Debord and company, as he wrote, "The spectacle is the bad dream of a modern society in chains and ultimately expresses nothing more than its wish for sleep." When I heard that, I thought, from my French friend in London, you don't know the half of it. Because I'd kept hearing, "Anarchy! Anarchy!" in punk as a youth, I wondered, what is this anarchy of which they speak? By 20 years of age, I had read all of the foundational texts of anarchism and certainly found my favorite, like Bakunin's God and the State. And it became an inexhaustible well for me. As a grown man, I found socialism had much to offer too, certainly in cultural insights, like legendary Italian socialist Antonio Gramsci's profound formulation of the pessimism of the intellect and the optimism of the will. For me, one significant pathway has always been the melding of radical politics with radical art, like situationism, or the Black Mask and Up Against the Wall Motherfucker, both of those latter ones in New York in the late 60s. But it can't all be politics and art. Of course, you have to know how to be ultra-spiritual, like the great YouTuber J.M. Sears. I think it's J.M., but he knows how to be ultra-spiritual and how to embrace the absurd by singing Dada. Or, as Devo tells us, with their cohesive Devo philosophy, "Now every man, woman, and mutant on this planet shall know the truth about devolution." I give thanks to every force in the universe allowing me to live again, to be my own variety of hero again, as we must all become heroes in this, the 0 hour, and find our own version of heroic action. For me, like one of my moral exemplars, Jesus, it means throwing the money changers out of the temple, out of God's house, our planet, or else they will eat us alive, even as they try feebly to retreat into the illusory security of the gated community of Richistan, guarded by illusory Pinkerton and Blackwater Shea ghouls, choking on gold which provides no nourishment as the world burns. The money changers have reasserted control of the temple, perhaps never more brazenly than now. They control all of the levers of power and puppeteer illusions of democracy in some artificial constructions known as countries through frontline people in the political class, big media, big tech, and the bloviating punditocracy. Our chances are slim to none, but we must fight not because we know we will win, but because, as the scripture tells us, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, against principalities, against powers, but against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. I had a vision in Ephesus, Turkey, at Mother Mary's house. Circumstances require a certain audacity, and prefrontal lobotomies or free bottles in front of me will no longer suffice in this all hands on deck moment. As John Lennon sang about, I choose to be a working class hero, especially in America KKK, the unholy Qua, as legendary blogger Valtko used to call it. Only radical working class activism and mass union militancy will enable us to save ourselves from the manufactured division of left and right. The real fight is top-bottom. And there are a lot more of us than there are of them. We cannot be idle or indifferent. Fellow workers, you have nothing to lose but your chains. Marx was right. That is why also Woody Guthrie was right. You got to go down and join that union. Join that one big union. Join any union you can. I know I did. I'm a proud card-carrying wobbly. People, we've got to tear the fascists down because they are back in control, and these ones don't goose step and kill you with a gun like they did back when. This time they wear suits and rob you with a fountain pen. Get your energy for moral outrage, class solidarity, and direct action wherever you can find it. Maybe it's the Ramones. 1, 2, 3, 4! However, such energy on a plane like that can't last forever because only one thing is certain: death. Oh, death, oh, death, won't you spare me over for another year? But since we are spiritual beings having a human experience, that is okay. Until that fateful hour, and no one knows the time or means except God. Wallow thee not in Weltschmerz, nor either in parochial concerns, but rather thou instead take a page from the book of Archibald Ladrelles and tighten up. And take another page from L7 and forget thee not to rock.